Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about hydration. It's a really important topic that often gets forgotten, particularly in colder climates or just even colder times of the year. But no matter what time of the year it is, no matter what day of the week it is, and no matter what you're doing, hydration is really, really important. Your body's actually made up of up to 70% fluid. 2/3 of that is inside your cells, and then there's another third of that that's in places like your lymphatic system, your cerebrospinal fluid, so that's the stuff that bathes your brain and runs down into your spinal cord, and in your blood. It's not just water though. Those fluids inside your body also contain electrolytes, and so they're also really, really important in terms of things like muscle function, maintaining the correct pH balance in your blood, and all of those sorts of things. And so I'm also going to talk a little bit about where electrolytes become necessary and when they don't. I guess the first thing is that, well, one of the questions that I most commonly get asked is, how much water should I be drinking? I don't think I'm drinking enough, or I try to drink 2 litres every day. Is that the right amount? The answer is yes or no, and it depends, which is pretty much the answer I give for any nutrition topic, but today I'm going to use it in terms of hydration. Essentially, 2 litres is about right. It varies depending on how big you are, but 2 litres is a good aim, but be mindful that about half a litre will come from the food that you eat. So you don't literally need to drink a 2 litre bottle of water. If you're eating lots of fresh fruit and vegetables as part of your diet, which I highly recommend that you should be anyway, you should get a decent amount of hydration from that as well. So it's not just coming from drinking water. But by far the best rule of thumb is actually to have a look at what colour your pee is. So if you go to the bathroom and your pee is really, really dark and smells really strong, chances are you're not drinking enough water throughout the day. If you go to the bathroom and your urine's so clear that you can hardly see it, chances are you're overhydrating, you don't quite need to drink so much. Think about the colour of straw. That's probably the colour that you want to aim for your wee to be. So monitor that and have a look at what's going on when you go to the bathroom, and that's typically the best way to make sure you're staying hydrated day to day. Staying hydrated during exercise though is a completely different kettle of fish. It's about far more than just not dehydrating. It becomes really important in maintaining heart rate. It actually stops you burning through your glycogen as quickly. It keeps your blood volume good. It stops you from overheating as well. So there's a whole range of other things that are really important in terms of maintaining well hydrated that are not just about dehydrating and getting that headache or a bit of heat stroke. It is, however, possible to overhydrate during exercise. It's not something that I've had to deal with very often or pretty much ever, so I'm not going to go into detail about that today. But it is worth being mindful that it's something that's possible to overdo. So really, when you're out exercising, maintaining constant fluid intake is really important. But don't go guzzling it down thinking that more is better, because like everything that I've talked about, more is not necessarily always better. So there are a few key topics that I'm going to talk about for how you maintain the right fluid intake. When you lose water during exercise, it's because largely you sweat it out. As you're out exercising, you get pretty sweaty. An athlete can actually lose up to about 3 litres of water per hour during high intensity exercise. The best way, at least under race conditions, for you to get an idea of how much water you should be taking in is actually to go out and do a bit of a stress test. So hop on the scales just in your undies, go out and do some exercise at high intensity for an hour, put your clothes back on before you do that, come back, take your clothes off and weigh yourself again. That'll give you an idea of just how much water you lose. So if you lose 1 kilo during that hour of exercise, then you're losing about 1 litre of water in that hour of exercise. And that can help you get an idea of how much water you should aim to drink during that time. You'll never be able to completely recover your fluid losses during exercise while you're exercising. So there are a couple of things that are really important to consider. Number one, think about electrolytes. If you're exercising for long periods of time, or under race conditions, under high intensity, or in the middle of summer, they're the sorts of times that I might suggest to you that you should consider electrolytes. They you'd lose a lot of, if you were to taste your sweat, you would notice that it tastes quite salty, and those are those electrolytes that you're losing through your sweat. It's worth replacing some of those. It also helps you absorb water while you're exercising. The other key one is to start out hydrated. If you've had a big night out the night before, you need to be even more vigilant about making sure that you drink a bit of water before you go out on your ride or before you go out and do exercise, because if you start out dehydrated, you're going to end up dehydrated whether you feel it during exercise or not. The second one is to always go out with water on your ride and aim to, drink between 400 and 700 mils an hour is probably a realistic amount for most people to be able to consume. And then at the end of a ride, making sure that you replenish those fluids that you haven't been able to replace during a ride. So making sure that before you pull out an ice cold beer, that you have a glass of water. And those would be the main things that I suggest that you do around hydration, at least at a basic level, to make sure that you don't end up dehydrated and you're able to utilize energy and not end up feeling sick after a ride.